webinar, Booking Administrator Overview. My name is Stephanie Mack, and I'm the Marketing and Digital Content Manager here at LodgeLink. A few housekeeping items before we get started. We are going to be recording today's session, and we'll send it out with the presentation so that you can refer to it later. Depending on your internet connection, you might experience a bit of a lag in the presentation, so we just recommend plugging into an Ethernet cable if possible. Also, we recommend using your computer's audio for the webinar instead of your phone line. If you have dialed in on your phone as well, please hang up in order to minimize the echo and feedback. We have muted everybody's mics, but if you have any issues, please use the chat window and then a moderator will be able to assist you. You can also use the chat to ask any questions, and then we'll address them at the end of the webinar. A brief agenda of what we'll be talking about today. We'll do a welcome and some introductions to your customer success team who'll be presenting. We'll talk about the different challenges that booking administrators can experience. We'll go through some tips of how LodgeLink can help with those challenges. There'll be a demo walkthrough. We'll discuss cost tracking codes and how they can make your job easier. And then we'll address any questions that you might have at the very end. So introducing our customer success team today, we've got Carla Jones and Jose Monroy. Carla Jones is the customer success manager at LodgeLink. She is responsible for onboarding customers to the platform and ensuring a positive customer experience. Carla combines more than 15 years of customer service and modular accommodation experience. She also has her supply management diploma as well as a management certificate from SAFE. Fun fact about Carla, she enjoys gardening and taking her dog on new adventures.
Hello, thanks Stephanie.
Jose Monroy is the customer success representative at LodgeLink. His responsibilities include onboarding, training, and educating clients on the platform. Prior to joining LodgeLink, Jose was a business development representative at Vidyard and loyalty program coordinator at Home Hardware. Fun fact about Jose, he can speak, read, and write fluently in Spanish.
Buenos dias, everyone. Thank you all for joining us.
Okay, so let's review some challenges for the booking administrator. There are challenges that are time-consuming as well. So you got the last-minute bookings, identifying properties, making reservations, whether it's by phone or email. You have the credit card authorization forms, of course, the vendor setup forms, and don't forget after-hour bookings. You've got expenses to consider, so standard room rates, subcontractor markup, uncontrolled spending with no visibility. You've got an administrative workload, and then multiple bookings with different travel days. That causes some issues as well. These are all areas LodgeLink can help you with. LodgeLink customer service team is available 7 days a week by phone or email with a coverage between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. daily. LodgeLink continues to grow so we can better serve you. We offer 3,000 in room capacity, consisting of hotels and lodges in Canada and the U.S. Currently, LodgeLink helps over 700 customers with their accommodations needs. A quick tip for you, if there is a specific property or area that you need accommodations, please contact us. We are happy to help source any new suppliers and get them set up so you can book all your accommodations through LodgeLink. LodgeLink supports your entire customer journey so you can search, select, book, stay, pay, and report all under one roof. The LodgeLink Advantage saves you time and money. It increases your efficiency and it provides you one convenient invoice. For searching made simple, LodgeLink offers a convenient search bar at the top of every page so you can access the map from anywhere on our LodgeLink website. The LodgeLink Enhanced Search Results allows you more choices at your fingertips. We offer a built-in dispatch board as well, so you can plan for upcoming projects by reserving your accommodations in advance. Change the dates and fill in the guest details as the project timeline approaches and becomes more real. Jose will review that later in the demo. We offer discounted room rates, so you can avoid those last-minute room premiums by taking advantage of LodgeLink's pre-negotiated rates. We also take care of paying the supplier, so no more vendor setup forms, expense accounts, credit card authorizations forms, or last-minute POs. Leave it all to us. We're happy to take it on. For emergency planning, you can locate individual guests staying at any property anytime. In the event of an evacuation, move your guests to safer ground quickly with LodgeLink. Never worry about where you are again. You can book from anywhere. If you aren't at your desk, just use your phone to book on the go. A quick tip for you, share the workload and empower your travelers to make their own bookings. You can always check their bookings from your dashboard to ensure they followed your accommodation guidelines for your company. With LodgeLink's enhanced search, you can find rooms in unfamiliar markets. A quick tip for this is planning accommodations for projects. Sometimes you're only given the legal subdivision, an LSD, a project coordinate, maybe a unique well identifier, or just a near town. Search in the way you work and simply type this info into the search bar. The map will show you the nearest accommodations to your project site. What you see now is the Booking Administrator dashboard view. You will see this when you log into your LodgeLink account. Now we'll move to Jose and he will give you a demo.
Hi everyone, this is Jose, and today I'm going to be walking you through the new LodgeLink platform. In specific, I'm going to be taking you through the platform from the perspective of a booking administrator. Now, the booking administrator is just one of the 4 different user types within the new LodgeLink site. And the difference between each user type is the different levels of access and permissions that each user has. So let's hop right into it. Now, right now I'm on the home page. I'm just going to go to the top right-hand corner and click on my dashboard. Now, the dashboard is essentially your home base. It allows you to access all the different features and tools within the LodgeLink site. So if you ever are lost and don't know where to find a specific feature, just go to the dashboard, and it's usually the best place to start. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Bookings tab right here. Now, the Bookings tab is just an overview of all your upcoming, past, and current bookings. You can make a new booking from that Bookings tab by clicking into this button here. As well, you can organize your bookings by taking a look at all of your organization's bookings or just the bookings that you are attending. You can also search for bookings using property details like the lodge name, hotel name, reservation number. And you can also view your bookings via the different stages. Now, there are a couple of different stages. The first stage being the draft stage. Now, this is just when you create a booking, but you don't actually confirm it. Once you do confirm that booking, then it flips over to pending. Now, the pending stage is when you've confirmed your booking and we are working to contact the accommodations provider to confirm your reservation. Now, after the pending stage, it either flips over to confirmed if the accommodation provider has the availability, or unconfirmed. Once it's been confirmed, it flips over to in progress, and that is just a booking that's currently taking place. After the in progress stage, it flips over to completed, where after you check out, it goes to completed. And once we receive the hotel folio, it'll flip over to reconciled, meaning we've reconciled the hotel folio or invoice with our rates, and you should be receiving an invoice from us shortly. And finally, the last stage is just the canceled stage. As well, you can sort by relevance, check-in dates, earliest checkout dates, current spend, and you can take a look at all of the bookings via the tile view like this, or you can click over to the list view and have a look at it this way. Now, for the sake of this demonstration, I am going to assume the role of a dispatcher, and I've been notified that we've been awarded a job up in Bonnyville. Now, it's a couple months out from the actual job start date, but I do know that I need accommodations. However, I don't happen to have all the details. Under those circumstances, I would recommend that you go into LodgeLink, you make your reservation, even if you don't have all those details, and then after, once those details do become known and available, then you can go into your reservation and make those changes. So I made a draft booking at the Best Western Bonnyville, so I'm just going to go ahead and click on the View Booking Details page. Now, this takes me to the booking summary. In the booking summary, I can see that the stage that it's in, I can also see the reservation number, I can see who it's been booked by, and I have the option to cancel it. As well, I can take a look at the different rooms that I booked. If I need to make changes, I can edit those room details here. I can also take a look at the payment details. In this case, I chose to pay via cost tracking code. And I've used a temporary holding cost tracking code because at the time I wasn't aware of what the appropriate code was to use. But if I do need to make changes, I can just go ahead and click on change payment method here. I can also edit my guest details. Since I didn't know who was attending my booking, all of the guest information details are unassigned. And finally, if I need to make any changes to special requests, I can update that here. And at the very bottom, you'll notice just a map with the address of the property. So because I made this reservation so far in advance, I do have to actually go in and make a couple of changes, and I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looks like. As you can see, I just went ahead and clicked on Edit Room Details, and I am brought to the guest information page. Now, for any of you that would have attended one of our previous webinars, you would probably be familiar to seeing this page. The system has now kicked me into the booking flow where I can make changes to my reservation. So I have the option to add in guest details in two ways. I can just go ahead and add in guest details by completing their information like so. Once I've added in those details, I just go ahead and save my guest. Or I can add in individuals from a crew list. Now, a crew list is managed by an organization administrator. So if at any point in time you want to add in individuals to your crew list, make sure you get in touch with the organization administrator for your LodgeLink account. Once I click into the crew list, I have access to a number of different crew members, and by simply clicking on the left-hand side here, all the detail and information is automatically uploaded into the system or into the reservation like so. Now, when I do add those names, it will add them as new rooms. So I just have to make sure that I add in any old rooms that I no longer need by clicking on delete like so. Now, one thing I didn't speak to is just the different I guess toggles that we can add into guest details. I can toggle someone in as a supervisor to a specific booking, and a crew supervisor can edit, cancel, or make reservation to any bookings that they have been associated or tied to. If I do toggle in someone as a supervisor, just make sure that you do add in their phone number as well as their email address, as we do require these details in the case of an emergency. I also have the option to toggle a crew member as a night shift worker. Now, a night shift worker will just indicate to the accommodations provider that they are going to be checking in late, and as well, the accommodations provider will generally put them in a quieter part or place of the property so that as daytime guests are coming in and out, they are not being disturbed. And finally, I can toggle an individual as sharing a room. If I do choose to toggle someone as sharing a room, please make sure that you do add in your room pairing request into this field here. So now that I've added all my guests, I'm just going to go ahead and delete the last one here. And perfect. So now I've added on all my guest details, and I can go ahead and click on the next page here, which takes me to my room scheduler. Once again, I can make edits to my reservations on this page here. I can shorten the dates if need be. And just like that, the dates have been changed. Now, within the date scheduler tool, I can make certain adjustments to all of my crew schedule. So let's say in this example that I know my crew doesn't work Saturdays or Sundays, I can just toggle that off right here. And let's say that I have a couple crew members that aren't coming in till a day after the initial check-in date, I can toggle all of that right here. You'll also notice that as I'm making these changes, the estimated total either goes up or increases depending on whether I add or remove dates. This is a really great tool for any organizations that are looking to forecast their accommodation spend, or even for organizations that are bidding on projects or jobs. This allows you to get an accurate estimate of your accommodation spend so that you can have a competitive or an as competitive bid as possible. Now that I've set my schedule in place, I'm just going to go ahead and click on continue here. And I am brought to the payment page. Now I have two options to pay. I can either choose to pay via cost tracking code. Now, for those of you that don't know what a cost tracking code, it's essentially a code that is associated to a reservation. Many organizations will use job numbers or project numbers to be their cost tracking codes. So at the end of the month or the end of the quarter, when they're reconciling all of their accommodation spend, they can associate specific jobs or specific projects to specific accommodation spend, ultimately giving you more visibility and greater control into how you're spending for accommodations. So in this case, because when I first made the booking, I used a temporary holding code or a holding PO. Now, since that time, since that initial PO, since I made the initial reservation, we did create a new cost tracking code specifically for the Bonnieville project. So I'm just going to go ahead and select that right here. The other thing to note is, as a booking administrator, you do not have access to make changes to or add any cost tracking codes. So if at any point in time your cost tracking code isn't on here, we do recommend that organizations set up a temporary holding code. And once the new PO becomes known and it is created by an organization administrator and shared to the booking administrator, then the booking administrator can go ahead and use that code once it becomes available. So now that I've selected that, I'm just going to go ahead and click continue here. And I am brought to the final page of my reservation, which is essentially just the confirmation page. All I have to do is double check my dates, double check that I have selected the appropriate rooms for the appropriate number of nights. As well, I've selected the appropriate cost tracking code, and I've entered in all of my guests' information. In this case, I didn't make any special requests, but if I do need to change any special requests, I can do that here. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and confirm the booking. And just like that, I'm taken to a final reservation page with my booking reference number. If at any point in time, we recommend just making a note of this reservation or the booking reference number so we can pull it up if need be. And there we go. So that, in a nutshell, wraps up the booking administrator and how they would interact with LodgeLink. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you for your time. Take care.
Thank you, Jose. So we'll just review some of the permissions that we kind of went over in the video there. So for the booking administrator, the permissions are you can make, edit, and cancel all reservations from everyone in your organization. You can view a dashboard to review upcoming and current reservations as well as all past bookings. You can use existing crew lists to minimize data entry when you're making reservations, and you can use cost tracking codes to pay for reservations at the checkout. This diagram illustrates the relationship between the 4 LodgeLink user types. There's the organizational administrator, the booking administrator, the booking supervisor, and the guest. The cost tracking codes determine which company will be paying for the accommodations. I will now explain the relationship between the cost tracking codes and the LodgeLink users. So, if a prime contractor is paying for the accommodations, they will need to invite you to use their cost tracking codes. If your company is paying for the accommodations, you need to book using your company's cost tracking codes. If you need to have a code added to your company, please reach out to your organizational administrator so that they can create the code for you. If a subcontractor needs to make a booking that will be billed back to your company, the subcontractor will need to be invited to your company's cost tracking codes by your organization administrator. A quick tip to save time within your company, you may request a change in permissions through your organization administrator. There is no limit to how many each user types there are for each company. You can have as many as you'd like, and the organizational administrator from the original setup can still be the primary contact for your company. Okay, so now here are some different approaches that customers use to simplify the setup of their cost tracking codes. You've got the one simple bucket, so one master code used by your entire organization. So this would be a company-wide travel budget. An example of those codes would be 2019 accommodation. Quite simple. The next set is here, set it and forget it. So that's an established list of standardized codes. Typically, these codes stay the same year-round. So they're either by division, by branch, or a GL code that's commonly used by your accounting department. The last type of code is the dynamic cost control. So these are costs created as needed on demand. So typically project-specific codes that need to be tracked separately. Those could be AFEs, a job number, or a specific project name. A quick tip that Jose reviewed in the video is any upcoming projects that you don't have a code for, create a temporary or TBD cost tracking code. This TBD cost tracking code can be updated at any point during a pending, confirmed, or in-progress booking. That concludes the presentation portion of our webinar. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let us know by typing them into the chat log. We will also be hosting one more webinar in this series, reviewing the organizational administrator perspective, creating cost tracking codes, inviting subcontractors to codes, and tips to maximize your organization efficiency.
Great. Thank you so much, Carla and Jose. If you haven't already, please make sure you enter your questions in the chat and we'll address them now. It looks like we've got a couple of questions in the chat already. So the first one is, why are my new bookings listed as pending?
Yeah, so good question. There are, within reservations or bookings, you have different stages. Once you actually create a reservation or a booking and you confirm it, it'll flip over to the pending stage. And this essentially means that we've received your request for the reservation or the booking, and we are in the midst of contacting the property to ensure availability. Once we do ensure availability, it'll flip from pending over to confirmed or unconfirmed if we don't have the availability for you.
Great. The next question is, what if I track the cost of my accommodations by project manager?
Yeah, if you do choose to use the specific name of a project manager, you can do just that. The cost tracking codes are set up to be as flexible as possible, so any sort of coding or tracking that you want to use, the field is an open field, so you can just enter in project name, a project manager, or anything that is relevant to your organization.
Great. And the last question we have here is, can I set up a monthly cost tracking code? And if so, how do I make sure it can only be used for the correct month?
Yeah, another really great question. So within the cost tracking codes feature, we didn't go into it. We'll be touching on that a little bit more next week when we go into the organization administrator point of view. Within cost tracking codes, you're able to set expiry dates for your code. So if you know you have a specific job that is going to take a month, you can set that code to expire within that month, and any, say, subcontractors that might be using the code will no longer be able to utilize the code upon expiry. However, an organization administrator does have to set that up. So if you are currently set up in LodgeLink as a booking administrator, make sure that you do get in touch with your organization administrator to get that set up for you.
Great. And I think that's it for questions, unless anyone has any more they'd like to type in. All right, so since there are no more questions, we'll wrap it up here. You'll receive a follow-up email shortly with the recording so that you can review it again or share it with a colleague. We would appreciate any feedback you have on future topics, so please reach out to us if you have ideas on what you'd like to learn more about. Alternatively, we've got one more webinar happening in the series. As Carla mentioned, it's next Wednesday, June 19th. It's the Organization Administrator Overview. But alternatively, if you'd like a personal demo, we've included the contact details for both Carla and Jose here, so you can reach out to them directly. And again, thank you everybody for joining our webinar on the Booking Administrator Overview, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks everyone.
Take care everybody.